So yesterday we talked a little bit about Joe Manchin. We're not going to mention him much other than he doesn't want to build back better plan, which potentially would have our immigration reform in it because he feels it's going to be inflationary. And how ironic it is today that the United States Chamber of Commerce, the CEO of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, said that actually doubling immigration would be the quickest way to reduce inflation. Quite ironic, Senator Manchin, right? Here he is concerned about inflation.
Is he?
No, but that's what he's using the excuse. And we talked yesterday that it's really not an inflationary situation that multi-trillion-dollar bill is going to do because they're just taking money from one person and giving it to another person. Mm-hmm. They're not printing money. And Senator Manchin's walking around saying, I'm concerned about inflation, which, by the way, he should be. Because inflation, they just came out today, 7% and going up. Okay? Consumer prices went up 7% in the last 3 months.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. So, on average, if something cost $1, now it costs $1.07.
Right.
In 3 months.
That's lot.
That's a lot. Over the course of a year, that's $28. I don't know, maybe even more than that because it actually compounds. So, the point being is this. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce is calling for the doubling of number of legal immigrants. It will be the quickest way, according to the economists from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, to reduce inflation. The Chamber of Commerce CEO Suzanne Clark told reporters during a press conference yesterday, we need more workers. We should welcome people who want to come here, go to school here, stay here. This is a place the government could be particularly helpful, and we do believe it is anti-inflationary. The reason they believe it's anti-inflationary is the main reason why we're having inflation right now is because of supply chain problems. We don't have truckers. People are not being able to go to work. Planes are not taking off. Boats are not going. Things are getting stuck at ports, not getting to the stores. So there's shortages of many, many items, which causes prices to rise because people are bidding against less items.
Right.
So what would an increase in immigrants do? Give us more workers to ease this whole supply chain. Who do you think the truckers are? Mostly immigrants.
Yeah. It's so funny because I know a couple immigrants that just came into the States that want to be truckers.
That's
too.
right.
That's wild.
They're mostly immigrants.
So Joe's probably back there trying to think of something else to...
Who knows what Joe is thinking? I don't know what Joe is thinking. Do you?
No.
I'll tell you what, though. Joe's administration, President Biden's administration, filed a petition for a writ before the United States Supreme Court. A writ is a request to have a case heard before the Supreme Court. This particular case is about the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and how they are keeping the migrant protection protocols in place. Now, if you remember, the migrant protection protocols was actually put in by executive order by Donald Trump to make people who are applying for amnesty stay in Mexico for months and months and months in squalor before their amnesty hearing is heard. As a result of that, the idea was to make their lives as miserable as possible so that they give up and go home. In the past, you would apply for asylum, be admitted to the United States, and then go to your hearing in a month or two. Mm-hmm. Now you're living in Tent City in squalor in Mexico. Biden said he was going to end that program on day one. He did, except according to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, didn't follow the right rules to do it. He is now appealing that because he is still required to keep the migrant protection protocols in place. So he's now appealing this to the Supreme Court. In the appeal argument, I'll read a little bit of it. It says the district court's extraordinary injunction compelling the executive, who is the president, to negotiate with a foreign sovereign, which is Mexico, and implement a nationwide discretionary immigration program has been in place since August and will remain in place until the Supreme Court intervenes. The Court of Appeals' unprecedented construction of Section 1225 threatens further significant disruption in other cases where parties seek to upend the government policies regarding immigration detention. Delaying review until the next term would likely postpone resolution of these critical issues until sometime in 2023. In the meantime, the government would be forced to continue negotiating with Mexico to maintain a controversial program that is already twice determined is no longer in the best interests of the United States. Our constitutional system is not supposed to work that way. That was the cover of their writ to the Supreme Court of the United States. Now, Supreme Court needs a majority of the judges to accept the case, and they're trying to request it on an expedited basis. Unfortunately, there's 6 Republicans on the Supreme Court. So I'd be surprised if they accept it, but who knows? We'll see. If not, looks like migrant protocols will be in place, if you believe what they wrote there, at least through 2023. And in New York, I think this is a nice thing.
What's up?
They want to make unemployment benefits available to undocumented immigrants.
Oh.
So I think that's a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
Because, when an undocumented immigrant, loses a job, they can't get any unemployment insurance.
Right.
So some advocates are trying to get the New York State Senate to pass this. The problem why people are not in favor of it is because New York, if you remember, also is one of the few states that issues driver's licenses to people.
Right.
And there's lots of people coming from all over the United States claiming residence in New York to get a driver's license. And if they're claiming residence in New York to get a driver's license,
that
and
means
they're
they'll be
undocumented
qualified.
and they're living in another state, that means they could potentially be qualified to collect unemployment insurance.
But that would be illegal,
Of
though?
course it would be illegal. As a matter of fact, just recently, the Times Union of Albany reported that the State Inspector General's office was investigating a widespread scheme to cheat on the state's online tests for driver's permits. The apparent scheme helped allow undocumented immigrants to obtain driving credentials. The credentials meaning proof that you were residing in the state of New York. So you have to prove you're living in New York to get the driver's license.
Good.
But a lot of people are just falsifying documentation because they're desperate to get a driver's license. Word to the wise, if you get caught, it's going to be a serious crime in New York, you would get deported. So word to the wise on that.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
And they're aware. Inspector General's office, they already caught a whole bunch of people already.
Wow.
So the concern now is that if you're going to give unemployment insurance to undocumented immigrants in New York, it may be New York State taxpayers may be paying unemployment insurance to undocumented people all over the United States because they all, came and claimed New York residents when they weren't.
That's not okay.
Not okay. So you see, you try to do nice things and
people take advantage.
Yeah. In Atlanta yesterday, during a major speech on voting rights, President Biden expressed his frustration at Republicans trying to block the voting rights bills. It's a very important thing because a lot of the Republican states are passing a lot of legislation to make it very difficult to vote. And who does it make it difficult to vote for? People who are in the lower to middle class in the United States, people who are minorities, people who are newly minted U.S. citizens. There are a lot of roadblocks, especially in the Republican states. Why is that? Because Republicans want middle class and upper middle class white people to vote for them.
Right.
So in Atlanta yesterday, during a major speech on voting rights, President Biden expressed his frustration at Republicans who are blocking the voting rights bill. They're blocking it for a good reason. If you're a Republican, they want to stay in power. Because the majority, if it was one vote per one man or one woman in the United States of America, there's a lot more people who vote Democrat than Republican. Every presidential election, who gets the most votes? The Democrats, but they always lose, or they
Right.
lose many of the times because of the Electoral College and the way and the way that the districts are apportioned. So there's 3 different Voting Rights Acts, and now a lot of people are saying that there's no way that it would pass the Senate unless they eliminate the filibuster. The filibuster, if you remember, is you need 60 votes to pass a bill. And they want to reduce that to 50 votes, which would be the 50 Democrats plus Kamala Harris. A lot of the provisions in the Voting Act sounds good to me.
Yeah.
What do you think? Let me go through this with you a second. Okay. They want to bring back and restore and update all the protections of the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965. That's a John Lewis Act. Responds to current conditions in voting today by restoring the full protections of the original bipartisan Voting Rights Act of 1965. It follows the Shelby County decision 8 years ago, where several states passed sweeping voter suppression laws that disproportionately prevented minorities, elderly, and the youth from voting. So they want to put back those protections to allow those groups of people to vote. They want to expand voting opportunities for people. They want to make voting early. So all 50 states should be able to open up voting a few days at least before the election. So not everybody votes on that one day.
Right.
They want to be able to increase mail-in voting for people who can't stand on lines or people who are concerned about COVID. They want to make Election Day a holiday because a lot of people want to go vote, but if you're living paycheck to paycheck and your boss says you don't show up to work, you're not getting paid, guess what? You're not going to vote.
That's very true.
Who is that affecting? It's not affecting a rich person.
No.
Right? They want to give protections for individuals with disabilities. The bill would require each state to ensure that individuals with disabilities have the same access to an absentee ballot. They want to have a national standard for voter validation, meaning that it's the same validation whether you're in California, Oregon, Texas, Arkansas, New York, Florida. You have to show the same exact documents to prove that you are eligible to vote. Right now, it's different documents in all 50 states. They want to crack down on deceptive and intimidating practices. The bill would prohibit the dissemination of false and misleading information designed to deter people from voting. They want to counter long lines, make it a law that every state has to take somebody's vote within 30 minutes. Sometimes people are in lines for 3-4 hours, right? And you get tired. And by the way, those Republican states, they make those lines very, very long in the minority communities. They do not open up.
Of course.
They do not open up a lot of polling places in the minority communities. And then in the wealthy communities, they have a lot of places to vote. Very easy to walk in and walk out. It goes on and on and on and on and on. We'll see what happens. There's about 27 different changes. I won't go through them all.
I mean, they're good changes, though.
Yeah, sounds all good to me.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Earth is the hottest on record. There's no signs of it slowing down. It's hot, hot, hot,
Oh,
as the song goes. Feeling hot, hot, hot on Earth. You know that song, right?
Yes, of
hot,
course.
Hot, hot. The past 7 years on Earth was hot, hot, hot.
yes, it was.
Specifically, 2021 was the planet's 5th warmest year on record. And despite the global COVID-19 pandemic, worldwide concentrations of greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide and methane, continue to increase. Horrific disasters such as floods in Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, killed more than 200 people last year, all because of climate change. Now, we have talked about climate change forever, right? Remember when President Trump said, what climate change? It's snowing in Washington. Idiot. Okay. And by the way, and this is, climate change has a lot, and we talk about it all the time. Climate change has a direct connection to migration and immigration patterns. Okay? People can't live in certain areas anymore because of droughts, heat, cold, not able to farm the lands, not able to live off the lands from where they are, or perhaps their land is underwater now. Climate change is the biggest factor in people migrating because it changes the economy of those areas where people are migrating from. And coronavirus, Jonathan.
You're not doing statistics anymore.
I'm not doing statistics anymore because I know they're wrong by at least 2 people. Okay? My daughter and son did at-home tests. They were positive and they're negative.
Right.
They're not counted in this. I'm sure lots of people. By the way, you know what I was thinking with coronavirus, if you want. First of all, Dr. Fauci came out and said today, almost everyone's going to get Omicron. It's almost inevitable that every person in the United States will get Omicron at one point in time. Now, how bad it will be for you particularly will depend on whether you're vaccinated and whether you're boosted. But I was thinking with this Omicron, you know evolution, right?
Yes.
And there are people in this world who don't believe in evolution. They believe, they don't believe in Darwinism. They don't believe survival of the fittest. We have seen evolution with coronavirus in the last 2 years. In our lifetime, we don't see evolution. You see evolution over hundreds of millions of years.
Right.
So I actually find it pretty interesting that with coronavirus in our lifetime, in the last year, we're actually able to see it. Mm-hmm. So what are we seeing? We're seeing a virus that was getting knocked out because we were quarantining, and then it changed, and survival of the fittest went to Delta, okay, and then we started getting vaccinated, and we started knocking it out again, and what happened? It went to Omicron, which was even stronger. So it went to the fitter and fittest, survival of the fittest. We are seeing evolution right before our very eyes, the actual scientific evolution.
Yeah.
An organism changing to survive. How do viruses survive? It survives by going from one person to the other and infecting them. So it is it's evolution. You're looking at it. It's like the Taliban, that virus.
Yeah, man.
They're like the Taliban in Afghanistan. Every time you quarantine, it's like the Taliban was like in the mountains for like 20 years in Afghanistan, waiting out the Americans to leave.
Yeah.
And then they took over.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll wait out. We got nothing to do. Right? What do they got to do? What do they got to do in the mountains up there? They hang out in the mountains with their guns and in their caves or whatever they're doing.
And that's what coronavirus is doing.
And that's what coronavirus does. Every time we quarantine, we think we knocked it out.
Yeah.
And the coronavirus is like the Taliban in the mountains, just waiting us out.
It's like, I'm still here.
Yeah, right. And as soon as we come out of our houses, boom, it's back.
That's it.
And it's evolved into something stronger.
It's wild.
Wild, right? I've heard Dr. Fauci say it won't be eradicated or eliminated, but can be brought under control. I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah.
Because it keeps evolving.
Yeah.
Yes, it will go under control if it doesn't evolve again.
But it keeps on evolving.
Keeps evolving. You know what's scary? I don't want to scare anybody, but I think about this. This Omicron, which is infecting everybody. How lucky is the world that this was not the Delta?
Right, that was affecting everybody.
That was infecting everybody.
Yeah.
Because if this was the Delta that was affecting everybody, there would be massive, it would be like the bubonic plague.
Yeah. That's scary.
I mean, think about it. It would be like the bubonic plague in the Middle Ages when, 1 out of 3 people died in London.
Yeah.
I think in over 2 years. Thank God this Omicron is not as severe.
Yeah.
Because if this was a strong strain
yeah.
that got into your lungs, it'd be killing everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think the world got very lucky.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky.
I agree. Count your blessings.
Count your blessings, it's true. All right, you ready for some hump day? We got some camels?
It's hump day. It's hump day. It's hump day.
All right. So, you watched CNN on New Year's. What'd you watch? What did you watch? Miley Cyrus.
I watched Miley Cyrus and Pete Davidson. But then I also watched the other one. It wasn't CNN. It was
Dick Clark's Rockin'.
Yeah,
He's dead. Who hosted it?
Ryan Seacrest.
Oh, right. He's not Dick Clark.
And I can't stand him as well.
Why don't you like Ryan Seacrest?
Well, can't stand him. It's just that show. It's just very boring now.
It's very vanilla.
Yeah.
It's extraordinarily vanilla.
It's just boring.
Boring.
It's boring.
Well,
Especially
isn't vanilla boring?
No.
Why does Pete Davidson look like Beetlejuice?
That's what I asked too. I was like, why is it?
Why does this guy look like Beetlejuice? And he like Beetlejuice was one of the ugliest people ever in the movies.
But Beetlejuice also had his girl.
Beetlejuice gets the win. Doesn't he look like Beetlejuice there?
I'm telling you, it's the personality.
Damn, I got to get his personality. Well, if you were watching CNN, which you didn't.
Oh, I did see Andy Cohen's little.
Oh yeah, his thing against the mayor.
Yeah. Whew.
What did he
his
say?
rant.
What did he say with the mayor? I forgot.
He was like he was happy that he's out. Yeah.
Right. He's like, don't let the door hit you in the
Yeah,
ass
yeah,
in the house
basically.
or whatever he said, something like that. But now, also CNN on its broadcast was showing tweets at the bottom of its broadcast, just like we're showing their telephone number scrolling on the bottom.
They show
CNN was showing tweets.
And raunchy tweets.
They didn't realize people were giving fake names like Ben Dover, Ben Dover.
And then Dover.
Right, and Ben Dover. Ben Dover is saying, Happy New Year, and then there was another one, Dixie Normus. Dix Normus.
That's hilarious.
And CNN is running and it had no idea.
Wow.
How funny is that? Oh my God. And the pranksters boasted on social media about duping the network while other viewers spotted the wonky names and tweeted about them. The Daily Beast, which was the first to report the prank, noted that the number on the Twitter accounts appeared to be linked and touting the hashtag CNNYE in a bid to boost the prank's profile. That's very funny. Bend over and Dixie Normus.
That's hilarious.
How funny is that?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Very infantile, but it still makes you laugh.
I'm
right?
surprised we don't have anybody with names like that.
Not yet, but I'm sure now people will.
This might give them some ideas.
Yeah, and Miley Cyrus, she had a wardrobe malfunction. Did you see that?
Let me see what happened. I saw the whole thing.
Yeah,
most of
her
it.
top fell down, and she had to turn her back.
She turned around.
She turned her back because her top fell off.
Yes.
So she turned her back to the camera, went off stage,
and had that.
Missed about 30 seconds of her song where nobody was singing. It was just the instrumental in the middle of her song, and then she came back in a red dress.
Blazer.
Yeah. So she said when she came back, she said, everybody's definitely looking at me now. Still in the most clothes I've ever worn on stage. It's probably true.
This is true.
Which is probably true. And this is disgusting, Jonathan. I don't know. Do we even want to discuss this next one?
I don't know what it is.
All right. Jill says absolutely.
Okay. What?
Reality TV star Stephanie Matteau from 90 Day Fiancé. We really want to discuss this? All right. She blew away people on social media when she announced that she's making more than $50,000 a week selling bottles of her farts.
That is wild.
That is really, really gross. The Connecticut resident has gained international recognition after appearing on the reality show 90 Day Fiancé. I don't know who she is. I don't watch the show.
I don't either.
But my son loves it.
Really?
Oh, Zach watches every episode. He's like, this is the best show ever.
What?
And it's one of the highest shows out there. And he goes, you want to watch? And I'm like, Zach, I live immigration every day of my life.
Right.
The last thing I want to do on my few hours at home is watch more immigration.
That makes sense now that you say that.
Yeah.
Because I know somebody who was on there and it's like super famous, an Ethiopian guy.
Yeah.
Super famous.
So maybe Jonathan, you want to
Absolutely not.
You want to get engaged
Nope.
to one of our squatties and go on 90 Day Fiancé. Okay, I was just throwing it out
Like
there.
I said, not feeling crazy.
I was just throwing it out there. So anyway, she made waves with her farting business by capturing her emissions in a jar. What a classy woman this is.
Class act.
This is somebody I would want to marry. What a classy woman. 1 second. Capturing her emissions in jars and selling them because she thought it would be hilarious publicity move. Now, but Jam Press is reporting that after she made $200,000 in sales. The influencer had to retire from the farting business.
Why?
Because she was rushed to the hospital with chest pains.
Are you serious?
Yes, she thought she was having a heart attack because she was eating all this food that caused gas. So she must have had so much distension in her stomach and in her. Why is this even a hump day? This is just gross day. But I guess the camels wanted to talk about
gosh.
it. Yeah. Oh my God. Meanwhile, a woman was forced. I can't even talk about it anymore. So gross. Is there anything else that I need to say about this? She gave 50 jars a day.
What? So, like, it actually stays in there, too? Like, the smell stays in the jar?
I guess people get excited
and then
about
open it.
Yeah. You know, it's hard to... I would think it was hard to scale that one up, you know? Unless she's going to start getting employees. But then that would be fake jars of her flatulence.
Right.
Right. So it's hard to scale that business. She had to eat a lot. She had to eat a lot of beans.
So she did. I mean,
she had
at
to
least
eat a lot of beans.
At least we know that it was all her.
Yes. Now the newly retired peddler of gas said she plans to donate a portion of her income to charity that supports gastric disorders. I think it's opened up a new door for me. I'm working on digital fart jar artwork at the moment. I think everything happens for a reason. What? All right, come on. I can't even finish this.
We did finish it.
That's just gross. All right. We mentioned this in the top, so we should talk about it. A woman was forced to isolate with a man she just met on Tinder after the pair both tested positive for COVID when they were together.
That's insane.
Taking to TikTok, Sarah Poppymore777 said she had just met a match from online dating when the pair found out they were infected. So they isolated his place after a blind date on Tinder.
That's crazy.
Despite barely knowing each other, they faced 7 days seeing no one but each other. So Sarah documented her time with the man and shared it with her fans. Soon viewers were branding it an Omicron rom-com as the pair watched Geordie Shore, which is a British reality show based on the Jersey Shore, ordered food, played Mario Kart, and lived in a domestic bliss for days. In a series of videos, she shows a snapper of a positive COVID test, clips of empty beer crates, and takeaway eggs. But someone asked Sarah why she felt obligated to stay with her date despite her positive test. Sarah explained, due to personal reasons, isolating by myself wasn't possible.
We know what those personal reasons are.
Yeah, I think she wanted to...
Bone.
Yes.
And look at they're doing fireball shots together and stuff.
She liked the guy.
Yeah, and he liked her.
Right, and they're like, you know what? Why should we both have COVID,
that's
so we
a
might as well
movie.
go have
That's
fun.
legit a rom-com.
That is a rom-com, right?
I swear.
That's something
that's like
that's,
a Netflix
by the way,
rom-com right there.
That's something you would end up in.
That is.
Right, I could see you like going out on a blind date with somebody, getting COVID, and
just saying F it.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening.
Funny thing is, this actually happened to my friend, but they were just now starting to date. So the dude came over to visit for like a weekend,
right?
And they ended up getting COVID and spent the whole
I will tell you
7 days together.
You want to hear a story? My ex-wife, I'm divorced now. Mm-hmm. We met in the Bahamas. Did you know this story?
No, I didn't know you met.
Yeah, I met my ex-wife in the Bahamas, and we were both on vacation there. We were just happened to be on vacation together, and I met her. Mm-hmm. And we, hung out a few days in the Bahamas, not every day. And we just happened by chance that we had bought the same plane tickets.
Wow.
Going back home. So when I saw her in the airport, I said, well, we'll sit next to each other. And we sat next to each other, and I said, you know what? I'm going to pick you up for dinner tonight. I said, when you get home, give me your telephone number. We're going to go out for dinner. And I picked her up, and we went home, and then obviously came back to my apartment. And, one thing led to another. And the point
Randy.
being, I was 24 years old at the time. The point being this. There was a huge snowstorm. I just remembered this just now.
Oh, wow.
It was 1993, a huge snowstorm right after the New Year. And New York was closed for 2 days.
Right.
So she couldn't even get back to her apartment on the Upper West Side. She lived on the Upper West Side. I was on the Upper East Side. So she was stuck in my apartment for 2 days because of a snowstorm.
Wow.
And that's how we started our relationship.
Really?
Obviously, the marriage didn't work out, unfortunately, but it was a 17-year marriage.
Hey, 17-year marriage right there. That's a rom-com too.
That was a rom-com. I just thought about that.
You lived an actual rom-com.
I may have. Meanwhile, here's some good news for me. Some bad news for you.
What happened?
According, Tom Holland has co-signed on to a scientific conclusion that has a clear impact on his life. Who's Tom Holland?
He is the new Spider-Man.
The new Spider-Man. He is 5'8", and he's been dating Zendaya, who measures 5'10". And he says that there is a study out there that says short men have more sex.
Yeah, I'm gonna believe him.
Yeah. The LAD Bible recently posted a picture of Danny DeVito and the much larger Arnold Schwarzenegger with the caption, according to the Journal of Sexual Medicine, shorter men are more sexually active than taller men. There were 531 heterosexual men in the study and found males under 5'9" have more sex than their taller counterparts. I am 5'8".
And I'm 6'1".
There you go. Sorry about that.
Hey, it's
now,
all good.
Tom and Zendaya.
Zendaya.
Why I keep calling her Zendaya? Tomato. Tom and Zendaya have joked about their 2-inch height disparity in an interview with Sirius XM while promoting Spider-Man No Way Home. The two addressed the height disparity, with Holland calling it a stupid assumption that height differences like theirs create problems. For Zendaya, it's normal. She said, my mom is taller than my dad. My mom's taller than everybody. So there you have it. What do you think of shorter men dating taller women? You have a problem with that? Some women do.
Why would I have a problem?
I don't know. Sometimes you're looking like, oh, they look like a weird couple. No?
That's on them. If there's if a girl is taller than me, it'd kind of be like, damn, because I'm already tall.
Marge Higgs says a shorter man tears up more sheets too, trying to get his grip. So I heard.
Yeah.
Marge is.
We need her next to us.
We need her on Hump Day.
Marge Higgs. We're gonna start bringing you in for for Hump Day. Oh.
Jill just whispered in my ear. Everyone's the same height when they're vertical.
There you go. When they're laying down.
There it is. There it is. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.